All right. Thank you everyone for joining. We'll begin with our session, our tech panel here for AI and ML. All right. Okay. So thank you everyone for joining once again. I'll begin with a quick Naukar mantra. Uh, Namo Riyantaram, Namo Siddhanam, Namo Ariyanam, Namo Vachayanam, Namo Loisava Sahudam, Eso Pancha Namokaro, Savo Paupnashano, Manglanancha Sophesim, Padmam Havi Mangalam. All right, some basic ground rules before we begin the event. Please keep your microphones muted unless you're speaking. Use the chat or Q&A options in your Zoom to submit questions. We'll get to as many as we can. Uh, if you have any technical issues, please be patient. We have an excellent tech team here led by Ashwita, who's going to resolve any issues if you have. So, welcome to today's exciting panel on AI and machine learning. I'm Parth, who's going to be your moderator for today. We have an amazing lineup of panelists here today. So, we have two visionary AI startup founders, and we also have a venture capitalist here with us. So, the themes that we are going to touch today as part of this talk is going to be around product building, investment advice, how to break into a career in AI and ML, also around networking and mentorship. So these are most of the themes that we will be touching upon. Uh, most of our panelists are deep into AI space, so we'll be getting a lot out of it today. So let's dive in. All right. So I'll start with a quick introduction for our panelists. So Pranjal, I see you first on my screen, so I'm going to go with you. Why don't you go ahead and present your background, what you do, and your introduction, please.
Yeah, Jain, everybody. Hi, my name is Pranjal, and I'm originally from India, in Jaipur. Came to the US about a decade ago for my undergrad and then grad school. Got into AI and machine learning very early on. So I was doing my PhD in that and then dropped out to help set up Cisco Innovation Labs in the Bay Area. And then had a brief stint in VC before joining a fintech company called Brex. And at Brex, I led product management on all AI initiatives. 2 years ago, I quit Brex to start my company. It's called Accend, ACCEND, and we help fintechs and banks accelerate their underwriting process with the help of AI. It's a YC company, and we've been at it for about 2 years now, 15 people at the company. I'll piggyback back to Parth. Thank you so much.
All right. Thanks, Pranjal. Great introduction. I'll move to Vatsal next. Vatsal, please.
Hello, everyone. Jai Jinendra. My name is Vatsal, and I'm the co-founder and CTO of a company called Speak AI. We're located in Toronto. So if anyone is joining from Toronto, send us a message. Happy to meet you there. A bit about my background. I did my master's in AI. I came to Canada in 2018. Originally, I'm from Ahmedabad, Gujarat. I started this company in 2018. So it's almost 6 years long journey now. Have seen a lot of waves, guys or folks who are, based or built any AI stuff back in before any AI waves knows like how much work with the modeling and stuff you guys have done. Things has changed, and it's exciting. A lot of themes and the topics we are going to talk about. So happy to jump in. Back to you, Parth.
Great. Thank you, Vatsal. Soumitra, our final panelist, can you please go ahead?
Yeah, thank you, Parth. So great to be here, and thanks for giving me the opportunity. So I'm based out of San Francisco. I've had a 15-year career as a venture investor, founder, operator in the US India corridor. So bagged multiple unicorns, both from India as well as in the US. Currently, I run a micro VC firm. It's called Operator Studio. So our thesis is to back global Indian founders, which is founders from India building global companies, as well as the Indian diaspora here. I also run a blog and a podcast. It's called an Operators Blog, where essentially I interview founders and operators specifically focused on how do you help cross-border founders from India and how do you help them go global and how do you drive US go-to-market. I've been very, very deep in AI. The fund already has multiple investments in the AI space. So really happy to be here and share whatever I'm seeing in the market and what I've learned over the decade and a half.
Thanks. Thanks, Soumitra. That's great. So we have a wide array of knowledge here, and we'll be trying to use it as much as possible. So diving in, right? Since all of you are from an entrepreneurial background, my first question or my first theme that I'll be working, my questions off of will be my opportunities for entrepreneurship in AI and ML. So to begin with, Vatsal, I'll go with you, right? So right now, what are the most promising areas for new AI and ML startups that you are seeing in the industry?
I think this is the great time, even where people are looking to start the adventure. It's definitely going to be a journey, but probably going to be a bit smooth at the same time, bit challenging because we are seeing a lot of AI. Even companies are coming up into the different areas, and the segments are now touching, I would say, every single one. If you go, we have the great company from finance side, finance sector too. We mostly operate in the marketing and the research sites, and we are seeing, almost every single day, either people are building through the prototypes and starting, some sort of a layout or the foundation to grow on top of that. Again, I don't have any much expertise onto, for example, the medical side, where we are also seeing a lot of opportunities there. These are research papers also getting published a lot onto how this AI is getting used into medical. But from what I'm seeing, at least on a closing note, on the AI space, with even you consider with the the development tools or how you can make it easier further and further into the different segments are great opportunity for anyone to jump in at this moment.
All right. Okay, great. So Pranjal, my next question is going to be to you, right? Like you are also building an AI company. Let's say I have an idea, right? That I have an idea that I want to build, maybe going off of Vatsal's response, that I want to build an idea of AI in the medical field, right? How do I validate my idea? How do I uh, bring it to fruition once I can understand that, okay, this is something that I want to work upon?
Yeah, first, a great question. There's a couple of things on this. One, ideas they're like they go brown very quickly. They're like avocados. You leave them, they'll just go stale. Especially in this day and age when we are seeing models, when we are seeing AI capabilities evolving very quickly. So number one thing, if you have an idea, the first thing to do is actually start working on it. And how you can work on it is just like making sure you can validate, like Path, you asked this question, how do you validate this idea? You can validate it by just doing three things. Like one, talking to the right people, which is like prospecting and figuring out who are the people in this domain. Vatsal mentioned before the things in medical sciences. You might find like one person in that particular domain if you're interested and talk to them about it. Second is you actually build something with now uh, technologies is like so evolved. You don't need to actually learn how to code to build a minimum viable or minimum lovable product. So you should be able to like build something. Whenever you build anything and then you reach out to people just to have conversations and get feedback about it, there's a much higher chance they'll respond and they'll sit with you to help you out. People help other people who can help themselves as well. So the first thing would be you just like build something and then ask people for their opinions on that. But I can go deeper into that part if you like as well.
We can go deeper later, maybe, Pranjal. But that's a great answer, I would say. Uh, just want to put in a little point here that I myself, I'm not a great coder, even though I'm from the IT background. And AI has been like a boon to people like me. I'm sure many people will resonate with that statement. But Soumitra, coming to you with the same question, right? How would you, as a VC or as an investor, validate an idea, right? I present some idea, maybe it looks very promising on paper. Even I have a prototype built. How would you validate such an idea from your point of view?
Yeah, I think one concept that is very important for founders and investors is the classic technology adoption curve, right? So any new technology, any new product, anything new that comes in the market, typically a very small part of the market, a very small part of your customer base will be early adopters, right? So they will be the people who will kind of give you the time. I think as Pranjal mentioned, when you are trying to interview them, they will actually explain their pain points. Their pain point is perhaps the most intense, right? And they're looking for new solutions out there. So the most important thing is to first find your early adopters, right? So even as an investor, whenever a founder kind of pitches me, has an idea, it looks interesting at a macro level. I think the first question is that what is the extent of validation that you have done? How many people have you spoken to? How much user research you have done, right? I think back in the day, it was quite hard to kind of code things out, but now in this day and age, you should definitely have some sort of an MVP that you can show both to investors as well as to your early customers, right? I think that is the most important thing. So really getting the early adopters bought in, because if you don't have early adopters, you have nothing, right? These are the people who will kind of help you build and flesh your idea out. So I would say that that is the most important thing, is finding your early adopters.
I think you
I
got
think
on
you're
mute, Parth.
muted. Path, you're muted.
Sorry, yeah,
No worries.
I'm going to get a T-shirt that I'm on mute. So I'll begin with you, right, Soumitra again. Uh, Today the AI ML space is increasing or it's changing at such a pace, right? That it's unprecedented. Today we were talking about chatbots. Now we are talking about AI agents. There are like talks about robots or AI-based robots that will roam around the cities. Wild ideas being thrown around, right? Maybe none of them will come to reality, right? But they are still out there. How do we, or how does a person, right, who is interested in such technology, how do they keep up with these technologies? Because you can't maybe learn these technologies on a daily basis. So what's a good way to keep up?
Yeah, I think there are two things that every professional out there, irrespective of their life stage, career stage, wherever you are, they need to start doing, right? So I think one is you definitely need to start consuming a lot of content which is out there, right? So there are a lot of founders who are at the cutting edge, even the large hyperscalers, big tech companies. You look at Google, you look at OpenAI, right? They share a lot of content. Now it could be YouTube videos, it could be podcasts. It's a lot of this happens on X, right, which was earlier Twitter, right? And you'll be amazed at the amount of learning you can do and the amount that you can learn about any field, right? By just being a very, very good miner of knowledge online, right? So start kind of following the right podcasts. Start spending more time on the right YouTube channels. Start engaging with kind of these founders on X, right? See what they're talking about. Ask questions, right? So engage in these. You can even go to communities, right? So there are a lot of Slack communities now that are active and where you can kind of engage with people. So I think one is that, right? I think just you don't need anyone's permission. You don't need to travel anywhere to do this, right? You don't need to be in Silicon Valley to be able to learn about this, right? You can be in a tier 3 city anywhere in the world and you have the same information. It's all democratized. So that's one. I think second, which is very important, is also in-person networking. So I think you have to, depending on where your situation is, where your location is, trying to go to meetups, try to go to the events, try to go to conferences, right? Now there are various kinds of conferences. You can go to industry conferences. You can go to, what something like an AWS would be doing. You can go to developer meetups. You can go to even very, founder centric events. At least in the Bay Area, we have a lot of meetups. Like let's say GitHub will be organizing it, where there are a lot of community demos happening. So you can literally sit there for an hour, and you can see, one is you can meet all the engineers, you can meet all the founders and builders in the space. And at the same time, you can also get live demos of whatever is the most cutting edge, right? So I think there is a lot of value to in person, and typically you would end up meeting, very, very interesting folks that you can then double click on, and you can kind of go deep with them one on one as well. So I would say these are the two kind of strategies that I've seen work really well.
That's great. Vatsal, I will ask you the same question, but more from a tech perspective, right? Like you as a founder, what do you do? Maybe not on a daily basis, I would say, but like maybe weekly basis. How do you keep up with everything that's changing?
Yep. I think many, people are attending today's call are interested either to build, and even if they are coming from the any technical background, this is the questions. Like there's a lot going on the day-to-day basis. And as the technical person, like how do you keep up with the information? Just a quick context, before I answer, like I'm doing a coding for a decade now. And on every single day basis, I have wrote millions and billions of line of code. What has changed in even last 6 months to a year is consuming the information what Sumitra has laid out about attending the conference or consuming the content is part of that, which you can also apply on the technical side. Let's say attending the technical conference, consuming the technical content. But when you go to the execution side, it's like how do you actually implement those things? There are two things I would say. One is actually try to build something up if you know the fundamentals very clearly. That's a very clear part, is to build any sort of the demo MVPs, like whatever you have in mind. It could be in any field. It's not necessary that you are building the full scale application or the forms. Just start with the normal small pieces, and then you combine it together. And the second is there are so many tools, again probably we'll talk about in the short time here, but those tools will enable you to get on it. Once you have that momentum, then getting into the coding or converting it to actual product will be the second part of the story. But try to build up that momentum, utilizing this no code solution. And what last point is people makes the mistake is they just want to do everything all together. Just stop doing that. Just try to convert into the pieces, and then take the one problem statement out of that, and then try to do it. Once you do that, attending the conference or consuming the content, now you streamline your bandwidth to the very small level. So you are consuming very particular content on something that you wanted to solve for, right? And then you can go step by step. I think that's the one thing on the technical side would really help, because there's definitely a lot going on. And what, even I use a lot of AI tools in today's in everyday life, and it has drastically changed your execution or your strategies and so many other things there.
Great. Thanks, Vatsal. The highlight for it for me from your answer was to break it down into small pieces and then, pick up one by one. Pranjal, coming to you, same question from a tech perspective. What are your tools, or maybe what is your MO to keep up?
Yeah, the thing is when you go the last, almost everything is that's focused. But I'll actually just add one thing which I think Sumitra and Vatsal already have talked about, but it's important to like double click on it,
Right.
which is the part we've heard. It's good to have like resources, good to go in person, meetups, meet people, good to consume knowledge. The one thing is important is it's not only about us learning a lot, but it's about doing things. So one is you can gain, understand, and learn from reading or watching things. The
Right.
other thing is about community. So instead of just having people who you look up to, reaching out to them, I think it's also really good to have a community of people with whom you can build things. Like find people your age who are hungry, trade ideas with them, like build things together with them. That's how you can probably have your own tribe. And as you level up, you'll be surrounded by just killer AI people, right? So this is the age when you can like start doing those things. And at the same time, like you can find those people, but actually if you put yourself out there, so I want to mention that, go on X and talk to people. If you build something and if you put it out there, other people will want to come and talk to you as well. So you attract more people as well, rather than only like reaching to them. So I'd add this one point, Parth.
Interesting. Thanks, Pranjal. And I want to say I'm seeing in the chat that people are already connecting. So
Amazing.
they're taking the advice in real time. So this gives me a segue into our next theme, which is networking and mentorship, right? So I truly believe that, like every one of you have also said, that networking leads to great things, right? It leads to greater opportunities, and mentors are people who would guide you in the right direction. So, Pranjal, I'll begin with you. So you as a founder, right? What is your process, or what do you think is the most effective ways to build a good professional network in AI ML today? Because there could be hundreds of people out there, right, saying that, oh, I know ML, but
Mm.
do they truly know? What are your filters?
I think about this in like multiple ways. Maybe I'll start talking about it.
Yeah.
Um, I think most people think networking is like schmoozing with big shots. Like the best networks are the ones where you have networked your way to, I don't know, like a CEO of a company, and now you're one degree away from them. I wholeheartedly believe, and by in a way doing things the wrong way, also realize this, that the best networks are actually built horizontally, right? From not just like up, but like horizontal. So what it means is like you got to be the old adage of you are the average of the five people around you. So that's like, think about that as your network. And let's say you want to be surrounded by like those five people. Um, like choosing those people like very carefully is important. That doesn't mean that it should only be transactional, but it should be in a way that you can gain from each other. It's like a positive sum game. And if you are curious about things, like smart people love curiosity and curious minds. Smart people love who do stuff. So it's it's not just about having questions and asking mentors. It's about like collaborators. So you can do things, you can ask, you can improve, and then you repeat all of these things all over again. I think building that tribe of yours, like I mentioned before as well, when we were talking about things, part, I think that's really important. So I would say networking comes from like this ground up version from within. And of course, there are things, maybe, for example, you are really interested in one particular thing and you know somebody who's like extremely experienced in that field. Instead of just mentioning that, hey, can I pick your brain, writing them an email saying, hey, I've already built this, and so I've already built X, Y, and Z using A, B, and C tools. Here's the link for it. I'd love like one line of feedback, something like that. It just goes a long way, and you might get like more and more practicality out of it. So I'll pause there now.
Amazing. Thanks, Pranjal. Yeah, I've seen like one-liner email get people jobs, like dream jobs. So that definitely helps. What's I'll come to you next, right?
Yeah.
So we spoke about reaching out to people, going for events. Now, I think after COVID, people have gotten used to the virtual world, right? Like attending webinars like we are on right now, or attending virtual networking events. What do you suggest? Which is more powerful in your experience? Is it virtual events? Is it in-person events? What has worked for you? What do you recommend to all our attendees today?
Interesting. Good question. Because when I came to Canada, like I used to go almost out of 7 days, 4 to 5 days, after work to all the events. Like I'm talking about before COVID, because there was a lot going on. There is the event in either Microsoft building in Toronto or Google, or like any, they're organizing the different, themes around the voice tech to you. And there's a lot of community out there who are based in Toronto, which I used to love it. However, we are also right now in the part of the webinar. So what I see pros and cons are, like, again, when you go into the in-person event, there's a very high chance, again, everyone probably have attended, like you only get to connect with 10 to 15 people max, because it's not an ideal opportunity where you get to chance to meet all of them. If you are into the good conversations, I think that's where I always have found the real relationship has built and really help for my business, or outside the business as well. However, with the virtual, that definitely allows you to pick the people you really wanted to follow or you really want to go after it. So that's two side. However, I will give you one example. There's this OpenAI, the developer conference they did in SF for the first time. I attended that conference, and the noticeable part here is when I did that, the mentors I used to follow, the one of that is the LinkedIn's top AI voice follower, AI, Ali K. Miller. So I got to chance and spend 3 hours, with her through the event, and that happened after the conference. So that's the best part, attending the in-person events, like a lot of connections and those things happening after the conference into they call it different names, but after 7 p.m. to 10 p.m., like chill hours and stuff. And because they're also human, and what you also, Pranjal, talk about is the curiosity, and they like that. They talk about like what you're working upon. It's not about them or it's not about their product. I also got a chance to communicate with Sam from OpenAI during that. It won't be possible if I'm doing virtual. So I think that definitely opens up a lot of gates if you definitely go in-person event and you pick such events there.
Thanks, Vatsal. So like an AI, I'm going to summarize that in-person events is the way to go.
It definitely builds a strong relationship at the end. Again, here you can pick up the few connection, but it definitely helps there.
Yeah. I'll share a funny thing here that I know. I know of a person who has literally got all of his jobs by networking. Like his skills only got him to one place, but then converting those skills into real opportunities, networking helped him get there. So Soumitra, I'll come to you next, right? Are there any specific examples? So there are two parts to this question, right? Are there any specific examples of conferences or events? Like I think Vatsal mentioned about the OpenAI developer conference. You, from a VC standpoint, do you have any examples that people could maybe use or they could attend to make good use of their time? So
Yeah, I
that's
think,
the first part. I'll go with the second part at a later point. Sorry.
yeah. Yeah, I think from an events perspective, there are some marquee events that happen every year, right? So some examples that come to mind is, for example, Dreamforce, right, which is organized by Salesforce. So it's around the entire kind of CRM bucket and enterprise software in general. There is SaaStr, which is actually happening in a couple of weeks, which is around SaaS, right? Now you can go vertical wise. So for example, there is RSA in cybersecurity. So you can literally, depending on which market you're interested in, you will always have a few marquee conferences. Now, these marquee conferences are huge, right? So by definition, I think probably Vatsal kind of spoke about it, right? That you can't meet everyone. You'll have thousands of people going there, right? But what happens is that typically around these marquee conferences, you will have a lot of side events, right? So you'll have mixers in the evening. You will have probably some VCs throwing dinners. You will have, for example, Dreamforce. A lot of other enterprise software companies will be throwing parties. Let's say they'll kind of hire a yacht and get people out, right? You will have breakouts. So there's a lot happening on sidelines, and those groups tend to be smaller, right? And look, I think the first most important thing in relationship building is that you cannot be transactional, right? So it actually starts with first meeting people in a very relaxed environment, right? And that's when people open up. I think what Vatsal mentioned, where you kind of start first having kind of just enjoying each other's conversation and company, right? I think that's what it starts with, right? I think the value comes much, much later. And if you go into kind of any interaction, any conversation with an immediate ROI mindset, it'll typically not work out. At least that's been kind of my experience, right? So I would say make a list of, depending on your industry, your vertical, your area, make a list of these 3 or 4 marquee conferences. Most likely they'll be happening, at least in the Bay Area, they'll happen. They happen, I think, a bunch in fintech happens in New York, right? Take out time, come around, land, around those dates, in those cities, and then start attending all of these events around it. Make almost a 3, 4, 5 day plan, right? I mean, it's not a coming in, spend some time, listen to some panels. Look, all panels, everything is recorded now. Everything is going to be put on YouTube, right? So the idea is to really mix around and meet other people and be strategic around attending it. So it's almost like a sprint you are doing around this, of saying that, look, I'm going to spend these 3 days and just kind of attending these different kind of side events as well, right? So I think that is one on the event side, and then go in with the mindset of saying that, look, I'm here to just meet interesting people and be interesting myself. I want to bring my personality to the conversation, right? Be yourself. Don't go into a transactional quid pro quo mindset, right? Just have fun. I think the most important thing is when you have fun in these events, then you'll bond with people more, and then all the business will happen later.
Great. And so second part of my question, right? Any standout incident from your personal experience where someone you have followed up with or someone has followed up with you? So we network with a lot of people, right? In each of these conferences or events. How do you make sure that your follow-ups get you a response back, right? Like it's not like a one-time thing. So any incidents or any examples that you can give so that people
Yeah.
could use it?
Yeah, typically, the mental model I like to use, and actually, relationship building is kind of a core part of my job. So I think about this a lot, right? So it's almost like a funnel, right? So anyone who has built a business, or if people have done marketing, right? A funnel is, you kind of first fill the top of the funnel, which is, you can call it leads. In these events, you are kind of meeting these new people, right? So they are kind of the top of the funnel, and then you kind of take them down the funnel. And by the end of it, the deep relationships will be a very small proportion of all these people that you meet at these events, right? So my playbook is very simple. I think it is very important to be active on LinkedIn, right? Because I think a lot of these, I would say, quasi-personal, quasi-professional type relationships, I think LinkedIn is a very good platform, right? So when you meet people at any of these conferences, make sure you add them on LinkedIn as connections, right? Because that's a great way to kind of DM, take up a follow-up conversation. So I do that. Pretty much any person that I find interesting, I'll immediately we'll kind of scan the QR code and kind of add them on LinkedIn. So that's kind of one, right? Second is typically based on the quality of conversation, based on what was the energy in the conversation. There are a few follow-ups that need to happen. Then I kind of make sure that after the event, I'm actually like consciously sitting down and saying that, let me drop them a note. Sometimes people will drop me a DM saying that, hey, that was a great conversation. Because typically even in these events, even if you are, let's say, talking to somebody for like 2 minutes, by the end of it, there will be some commonality that would have come out, right? So either that, oh, I know this person who could actually be a good user of your product, or, oh, I'm also interested in this space. I mean, I would love to pick your brain on something, right? So there'll be some sort of a call to action even in a 2, 3 minute conversation. If there's no call to action, that means there's nothing there, right? So the moment you have a call to action, then you follow up on that. From specific examples, I think my entire career is littered with examples of this, where I've met people in these events. That's why I'm a big believer in events, by the way. Of course, smaller the better. I think the quality and the ROI becomes much higher. But I've like met so many people, and people have gone on to have invested in the companies of those founders. People have become LPs in my fund. I mean, there have so many like very deep engagements that have happened through that, right? So I'm a big believer in this. I think you need to have a funnel approach. You need to be systematic about it, so that you are actually making progress, right? Or not actually building out an engaging and constructive network.
Amazing. Thanks, Soumitra. So, all right, we've been going great. I just want to give a quick shout out to Minesh Doshi, who's our sponsor for today's event. Hi, Minesh. You want to Manish, you want to unmute, speak a little bit about yourself, and I think you also have a presentation. So please feel free to share your screen.
Oh, perfect. Thank you. Hi, everyone. Jai Jindra. My name is Manish, and I'm originally from Mumbai, immigrated to Canada, and professionally, I'm a data engineering leader, currently hunting jobs, unfortunately. But I'm also a licensed insurance agent, proudly serving in Ontario. And I do have a small presentation. I'm happy to sponsor YJP. I am a firm believer of networking as well. And when I came across this opportunity, I could not shy away from it. So please bear with me for 5 minutes. I do want to promote my insurance business on the side. Sorry, it's just Zoom's just acting a bit weird. Oops. Sorry, folks, just give me 1 minute. It's the first time Zoom's being.
No problem. No problem, Manish. So I think he dropped off. So to make use of our time till Manish Doshi is joining back, we have a quiz that we want to share with everyone. So please, guys, if you can post your responses, please engage. Ashwita, can we please have the first poll for everyone? All right. So everyone, there should be a poll on your screen. So you should be able to choose one of the options. Please go ahead and choose the option that you think is the right one.
Parth, can you make me the co-host once again?
Hey Manish, yes. So Manish, we are just going through a poll. Give us like 30 more seconds, and then we can give the
Sure.
presentation to you. All right, guys, just a few more seconds left. Guys, please put in your votes if you have not already. All right. So in the poll, we'll share the results. So I think many of you got the answer right. It was SoftBank. Just to give you a little information about this, the SoftBank-led round for OpenAI recently closed, and SoftBank gave in $30 billion, which is like 75% of this funding round. And this by far was the highest recorded tech funding. I think our panelists might be also able to provide some information here. But this deal just valued OpenAI at $300 billion, which is like a staggering amount to even think about. So yeah, I think there's a lot of interest in the AI ML space, and if anyone is looking for funding, we also have a venture capitalist here. So please make sure you connect with him and our other co-founders as well. They will be able to give you more information. Manish, I'll hand over the mic back to you.
Yes.
Go for it.
Let me know if you can see my screen.
Yes, it's visible.
Perfect. All right. So as I said, I am an insurance agent on the side, and I'm proudly serving Ontario. So life insurance, as many of you know, is an essential financial product that provides peace of mind and security to individuals, families. But we also know that hundreds and thousands of financial advisors and companies providing these services. Yet, in a recent poll, it was found out that 7 out of 10 Americans live paycheck to paycheck, and 1 out of 4 Canadians are unable to cover an unexpected expense of mere $500. So, why are so many people failing, right? Because largely common man is dealing with providers. By providers, I mean insurance providers and financial advisors who give transaction-based advice and not an education-based one. There are so many financial products out there, and to most, may be overwhelming to understand and choose the best one for their goals and dreams, right? So we simplify the complicated by empowering families with education. And obviously we know we are businessmen, like business runs in our blood, so we don't need smooth talking salespeople or online marketers. We don't want another financial product that we don't understand. What we really need is a plan and a coach. And so many people have retirement, dream of retiring with millions of dollars at 65, but they're yet not able to fulfill their dream, partly because they don't have a coach. And there might be several other factors, but like not having a coach is one of the biggest ones. And how a coach can help is bring the financial discipline in your lives. So we follow the transaction-based advice. I particularly follow, sorry, my bad. I particularly follow the education-based advice. Even if that means like, I'm here to network and I don't get a sale, which is completely okay. I'm happy that I'm imparted my education to you folks, and then we move forward. So as part of your goals and dreams, you should be aware of two most important numbers in your life, which is your financial independence number and income protection number. If you're not aware of this, feel free to sit down with me, help, and we can put all the information down in our proprietary software, which generates a report, and it gives you all of these information like debt reduction, insurance protection, retirement savings, and all of these. And it also gives you your life insurance number, the financial independence number, and income protection number. This report is just like an eye opener to most of us, including myself when I did this report myself. Like how much do I need to save now in order to realistically get the $1 million savings that I dream of retiring, right? So this report is a must do and must have for most of the folks. I mean, almost ideally all of the folks, but to some may be already aware of and they may already have a plan. So that's why I use most. All right. So
Manish, by 1 minute left.
yes. So while not diving into this, all of this life insurances, what I really wanted to show is like, to most of us, it may seem that insurance is expensive, but it's really not. If you look at a 30-year term insurance for $500,000 coverage for a 32-year-old, it really boils down to a cup of coffee a day, right? It's as cheap as $1.62. And these are Canadian numbers for Ontario, right? So obviously we can have US equivalent as well. These numbers can vary for different people based on different factors, but based on this, these are just a few examples. While people may shop around for term insurance, what we do is I also layer in some form of universal life or a permanent insurance. Obviously, your premium might increase on a monthly basis, but if you compare, ideally you would be paying $48.60 for 30 years in a pure term life insurance scenario. So you paid roughly $17,500 for the whole life for your duration of your term. But if you go with a refundable term option, even though you end up paying $6,744 more, but you also get some cash value back. So this is what helps working with an education-based advisor, where they can give you different options and are not merely looking to close down a sale for you without even giving you these options. Similarly, for a child insurance, this is just an example. Like, if you just pay $792 a month for a year-old child, even though you have insured for $150,000 face value, as you can see in the base fund value, it can quickly grow to millions as well as they die in case they die of old age. All right. I know this was super rushed, but this is my QR code. Feel free to ask questions. Connect with me if you have more insurance needs. I also do travel insurance and super visa for folks visiting Canada or Canadians visiting outside. So that's a big volume of my business. And yeah, this will take you to a Linktree page which has access to save my contact, my website, etc.
Thank
And
you, Manish bhai.
yes.
Thank you. I think Manish, you can post your information in the chat also, so that folks can reach out to you if needed.
Yeah, and I think Apurva has already shared that on the chat.
All right, great. Thank you so much, and thank you for sponsoring our event again today.
No worries. Happy to help.
So I'll segue into so there are two more themes that I want to touch upon. So one theme now is about startups and investments, right? So Soumitra, since you are like the closest to this, I'll begin with you, and then go to Vatsal and Pranjal next. What are the most common reasons that AI and ML startups fail to secure funding? So what maybe like what are the red flags that lead to a failure in funding?
Yeah, I think, and these are reasons that are behind any startup kind of struggling to fundraise, right? So I think one is there's something called as founder market fit. That's really important. So what that means is that, I mean, hypothetically, anyone can start any company in any space, in any industry, right? But we are living in a very competitive world. So what are the specific reasons why a specific founder should win in that specific market that he or she has chosen is a very important question, right? And that's something that we as investors think about a lot, right? So if the founder is not able to demonstrate that, or if the founder himself or herself has not thought about, hey, why am I the right person to win in this by building this company, right, in a very intellectually honest way, then that will typically show in your pitch and when kind of investors are going deep into it, right? So I think that's one very, very important thing that everyone should have. I think second is lack of clarity on what I call as the ideal customer persona, which is ICP, right? So lack of clarity on who your exact customer is, what is their pain point that you're trying to solve, right? If you are trying to be everything to everyone, right? You don't have a very clear wedge into the market. You've not spent enough time talking to customers, right? All that comes out very, very clearly, right? When you kind of go into the details and you start asking questions as people are pitching ideas, right? So really not having a handle on the customer side is, I think that's another kind of thing that typically derails a lot of fundraising. And then third is, and this is, I think, specific to the AI age that we are living in right now, which is the competition has just exploded in every vertical, right? Because it has just become very easy to build products. There's a lot of information out there around companies, and I mean, in the Bay Area, we see, pretty much every street will have like 10 founders, right? And people going after the same market. So everyone is trying to go after sales, marketing, and your classic, everyone is trying to reinvent and disrupt Salesforce. And so there's so much competition, right? So if you don't, as a founder, have a very, very clear view into why am I differentiated? Why is my company differentiated? Why is my solution differentiated? Why should you win, right, against all these competitors? Um, I think that needs to have a very, very clear answer, or at least a hypothesis, right, with some early validation. So I would say these three things are typically what kind of makes a struggling fundraising process in a lot of cases.
Perfect. Thanks. Pranjal, coming to you. So my question is more from your personal experience, right? Like I was reading that you guys have recently closed a very big round. You have, I think you also have like closed multiple rounds, if I'm not wrong. Maybe I'm wrong on that, but you can correct me. But I want to understand what has worked for you, like from a very personal experience. You were also a YC cohort. So what has worked for you? Because YC is so prestigious, right? There might be many people trying to get into YC. So that's my one part of the question. And second is like what worked for you majorly when you were going for your seed or your series A, whichever one. Yeah.
Got it. So firstly, I'll give context to everybody. YC is a startup accelerator. They're based out of the Bay Area. So I'm usually based out of New York, but when we did Y Combinator, I moved to San Francisco, and I used to live in San Francisco before as well. So going back to the question, like what worked for us, and what are the things that might work for like other people? So I'll give like two answers to this. One, how we did it, and generally, if I have to do like things all over again, how I do it. I think one thing Soumitra already mentioned, that investors bet on people, like especially in the early days when you're raising like a seed round, they're betting on people, and people need to have like this concept of founder market fit. So either you're really good or you have experience in that domain, or you've hustled your way and you've built something that you've become a really good expert on those things. So that's number one thing, right? Betting on yourself such that other people can bet on you. Thinking about that, a really nice pitch deck will get you funding. In most cases, might not happen. So the second thing is like if you're thinking about how do I get VC funding, I think the best way is like to pause, because that might be the wrong question to just to get VC funding. Like asking ourselves, like going back to the whiteboard and just being very fundamental on saying, can I build something for a very small number of people? Like Soumitra mentions, like the concept of ICP, you just define the very core ideal customer profile, and then see if you can build that. In Y Combinator, the guy who started that, Paul Graham, he has mentioned that you should build something that 100 people love rather than thousands of people just sort of like. So just building something for like just going for that very minute pain point that is actually very large for a small number of people could be a good way of like going about it. And the third thing I'd say is like, yeah, VCs invest in ideas. They also invest. Oh, sorry, VCs invest in people. And the adage for me was, I need to have a really good idea. But here I'll share the story. Like what we actually applied to Y Combinator with. We are not doing it right now because we did a pivot in between the batch. And a lot of other companies have done extremely well as well. I used to work at a company called Brex before, also a Y Combinator company. It's probably the top 5 YC companies. They started out by doing a virtual reality headset thing, and now they're one of the biggest fintech companies out of the US, right? So you can see like the difference of things. It's just like the hustle. If you want to build something, you just go very, very deep into things. So having like high agency for yourself, which means this concept of like just moving fast, making sure if there's a problem, you just go at it and solve it. Being very succinct and telling a good story also is important. Is this concept of the number of words coming out of your mouth should be minimal, and the number of insights going into the heads of people should be the max. How can you balance those things out? I think that's important as well. So yeah, and then maybe the last thing I'd say is it's a lot of persistence, a lot of patience. So how many punches like you can take and you keep swinging at it is also really important. So if you've gotten the momentum, like just go at it. And by the way, there's a lot of founders, a lot of VCs as well. So if you genuinely are curious, if you genuinely believe this is a problem, at least like try multiple times, and maybe you'll find something that will align accordingly. So that's something that I'd say has helped us out. And generally, I've seen like other companies in our Y Combinator cohort help them out as well.
Swear by persistence always has helped me.
Yeah, hustling.
Yeah. Vatsal, coming to you, I think one thing that I picked up from Saumitra's response earlier was that every street has like 10 founders, right? 10 developers working on something new. So from your perspective, since you have been in the space for a good chunk of time, what's your view on the hype versus the reality in the AI or ML startup space?
Oh,
There are
nice.
like bunch of companies that are coming up every day, and equally bunch of companies that are dying down. So what's like, how should one approach that hype versus reality?
Glad you touched that point, to be honest, because I have a lot to share. Again, I'll go with some layers here. We started in 2018 with this in the AI space, and in introduction, I talk about a bit on that front. What we have seen, the companies which started even before us in 2018 or even after us, they are gone. The domains are not reachable. They raised a bunch of money. They were in all these articles. Yeah, just talk about any top articles in the news, news or even online, and they got all the attention. The real problem with all these 3 points where finding either the real customers, or they are deploying too much money, onto the market or the segment or creating those noise. You also ask about the Pranjal on the the investment side. We did bootstrap till 4 years. We didn't raise a round, and the whole hypothesis around that was to see if we can sustain, with maybe 100,000 customer, not even 100 or 1,000, but 100,000 customer. Right now we have more than 300,000 customer, on the platform, and that thesis work. And even what we did with the investment was only a one single round. And what that help us is basically stay focused on actually the real problem and where we want to navigate through. Yes, you are correct. You will see a lot of founders, and every crossroad, like we have 10 founders probably in SF for sure, no question asked. But they are either raising too much money, which is necessary to deploy at the end, and people who are not aware, because you need to give the outcomes at the end to the investors, and to ensure that is on the track. So that's why people always get through those number and then want to deploy. The second part, just want to touch is, I totally agree on the founder market fit, because you get through, you probably don't have the exactly domain knowledge, but you still want to get through the building the product, probably raise money. But at the end, after a certain time, probably 2-3 years or maybe 4 years, you hit the wall where you're not actually solving the real problems. Rather than having the nice product, having the great team of 50 people, maybe it's not the finally building the product, or coming out of your league. So I think these are the couple of factors. Even we have seen companies going there with that noise and probably not alive anymore. So if you are planning to build something, on a closing note here, if you have any thoughts, if you are working on the ideas, or if you already have a small team, try to stay lean during this time, because you don't need to go to scalable having 50 people doing 100 things. You can do the same thing with 5 people, and that's the whole theme even of this, is like how much you can leverage AI and ML in any of your field, with little or less investment. So I think that's the whole opportunity. It's out there, and you should capitalize on that, with the small and lean team.
Thanks, Vatsal. So before moving to our final theme, I just want to say that I think many of you might already know that we are Young Jain professionals, a volunteer-run organization, and we greatly appreciate all of you being here. We have Ronak Jain with us here, who is our director of fundraising. I want to just give him a couple of minutes to speak and to help you understand what he's doing for YJP.
Thanks, Parth. And again, first of all, thanks to all the panelists joining today, Sumitra, Vatsal, Panjal. It's very nice to hear from you guys about what this field is. It's very trendy. There's a lot going on. So it's nice to hear from the best of the best. Hello, everyone on the call, Jai Janendra. My name is Ronak. I'm the finance director for YJP for 2025. And again, we are a nonprofit organization. And the idea behind this organization is to just, again, bring our youth and our Jain community together, help them build this community, foster connections, and also help them grow professionally. Again, one thing that helps us continue with our operations is donations. So again, whether it's $10 or $100, each contribution contributes to the cause that we're trying to serve here. So if everyone could take a few minutes to just donate, we would really appreciate it. It would go for a long way for us. So thanks a lot, and then back to the panelist and Parth. Parth, you're on mute.
Sorry, once again. So thanks a lot, Ronak. Coming back to our final theme, right? How to break into a career. There are many professionals that are experts in their own field right now, but then don't know how to get into AI or ML. So this final theme is going to touch on that. So I'll start with you, Pranjal. So you, as a founder, right? If you are hiring someone, what are the most common mistakes that a person looking for a job in the AI ML space could make?
Yeah.
Just common pitfalls.
Yeah. There's actually, I think there are two questions here. One, when I'm thinking about hiring somebody, and two, if you want to break out into the space of AI/ML. So I'll be very quick. If I'm hiring somebody, because we're very, very, very small niche and going at a really like fast pace. So we want like an expert in that space. So a lot of work, a lot of meticulous projects that they might have done in the past, as well. So those are like two different things. Uh, I'll add like one important thing here. If you're breaking out into AI and ML space, uh, the idea for you is like instead of waiting to get hired by maybe Google or OpenAI or Anthropic and these kind of companies, why don't you start and like give yourself a job? So why don't you like give yourself a project and start working on it? So you know this you can play this as like a game. It's like you're dropped into the world, there's no instructions, and you got to like work your way through things. So playing around with Perplexity, ChatGPT, Anthropic, Claude, like these kind of tools, or Midjourney, Icon, there's multiple ones. Like learning the tools, and then second thing is actually building those things as well. So there's tools like Lovable or Bolt.new, um, so StackBlitz, like these are all of the companies where you can just like build new things by just giving instructions. So another tool is called Replit. Just give an instruction, you get actually a project made. And then actually talking about it, like going there, write your own Substack article or Beehive article. What Sumitra does, like maybe do a podcast about it, and just have like more and more people listen to it or see it. The idea for that would be like if you see like something really small as well, and if you pick a real problem that you might have, it doesn't matter if other people might have that problem. If you want to start small, if you just want to break out into this career, start small with a problem that you might have, build something, share it online. This gives you some sort of a portfolio. And I actually, whenever I think about things, I think about it as like a binge bank. If somebody Googles you, do they have like binge-worthy content about you? So if you have like some of those like binge bank-worthy things, you already are much above an average person who's just applying for a role. Right? So those are the kind of things that are important. And I also believe in like just attracting the right kind of employers to yourself. So if you do those things, maybe sometimes like you might attract some employers as well. So for example, I go on Hacker News, which is Y Combinator's portal of like news articles, projects, and other things, and see what people are building in the AI and finance space. I go on Product Hunt and see what people are building, and sometimes reach out to those developers and see if at all they would be interested in like a job at our company, rather than only going onto job boards or onto that. Maybe lastly, I'll say is like this field is so ever evolving. When we just started talking about it, we touched upon this fact that things are changing very quickly. So thinking of yourself as like, oh, you may have a career which is built in like something else, and you're new to this. We should also remember that the new advancements in AI, which has gotten like so much traction, are also new for a reason, right? So no room for underestimation of yourself here. Just put yourself out there, and you should be able to like get something in that space.
Great points, Pranjal. One is give yourself a job. So just spur the entrepreneurial mindset, and that's a very good idea. Vatsal, coming to you for my next question, right? Uh, I'm pretty sure in your pre-2018 life, you must have been good at something else apart from AIML. How did you do a career switch? What maybe not the thought process, but what tools you used to do that career switch?
To the you mean by the founder to the moving from
No, moving from whatever you were doing pre 2018, right?
Fair.
But then moving from
Correct.
there to your AI ML background from
Fair. I think there's a lot of foundation work being done. Even when I was doing undergrad back in India, I was spending a lot of time onto the robotics. Robotics got more interested into the IoT because it's kind of, I'm talking about 2014 and 15, building the IoT projects. First kind of the products, which also got covered by so many news articles back in India. And then that's where the IoT, I built the entire infrastructure. Probably everyone buy the product from a company called Deep. So we all love Indian food from Deeps here in North America. So I built the entire IoT infrastructure for them, and that was actually the gradual migration toward to the space of the AI ML. And coming to Canada was just not to move to states or Canada. It was with the purpose to get through what are the data points, what are the models, what are those methodologies as a technical can be applied. So I think there was the gradual movement on year by year. And like for someone who are probably right now into this high school or university or maybe very early in the careers, there are a couple of things I could lay out. I think it's already been discussed, but just wanted to double click on that. One is, when you're talking about either creating your let me break it down first. When I heard about a lot of people asking about the job or looking to switch something into the AI ML space, they don't do enough homework on specific about what they can contribute. They directly either send us a message or send the request. So try to go deeper on where you actually can contribute more. So that is also one part, when you're talking about switching to the AI ML space, see where you can contribute before even sending those outbound messages or even requests. And the second part just wanted to touch upon is building the just going back to the square, but building the small projects even into your space will definitely boost to move to this new field, which is obviously a new for you for your career. So I think these are the couple of very ground level pieces could definitely help you out there, and happy to go in details because I just touched the surface there.
Yeah, for sure, Vatsal. Thanks for that. So Soumitra, coming to you, right? When you're investing in a company, right, or maybe when you're seeing people around you, maybe from an investing space or from a job finding perspective, uh, what's a good way to evaluate if it's a good fit for you, like from a cultural perspective or from your own ethical perspective? How do you, because I think ethics has been spoken about a lot in the AI/ML space. How do you evaluate, or maybe how have you seen people evaluate if they are a good fit when going or approaching towards a AI/ML company?
Yeah, I mean, I'd like to mention a concept that one of my mentors told me many years back, right? So in terms of, finding the right job or, which company to join, it's actually very similar to how you find product market fit for a product, right? So what is product market fit, right? The product that gets adopted by a customer because there is a very, very specific pain point that that customer wants to be solved, and your product is doing it, and your product is doing it in a unique, differentiated way, right? So that's why the customer is choosing you over all the alternatives. It's very similar to the hiring process is very similar to this concept, right? Which is you have to look for a company which is looking to solve a problem for itself in any vertical, any function, and then you need to be very uniquely positioned to solve that problem, right? Because once that fit happens, right, between both the sides, that is what leads to actually good career growth. That is what leads to you being happy at the workplace, right? So I always found this concept to be very, very important. It's a good compass, right, to use as people are finding jobs, right? So I think that's one. Um, of course, I mean, you can peel the onion on all the other things around technical skills and this and that, but I think to me, culture fit is really important. I think as kind of Vatsal mentioned, especially if you're looking for jobs in startups or even mid-stage companies, right? I think we are going to have a lot of these companies that are going to be run by founders who are actually not in it for the long run, right? I mean, Vatsal is a classic example of somebody who has grinded it out, right? And ideally, you want to join a company with that kind of a founder who has a long-term vision, who's there to build this out for the long term, right? Who's making all the right strategic decisions. Because by definition, that means that they will think about people, they'll think about who to hire, they'll think about culture, they'll think about retention, right? And which is what together creates a great working environment, right? So I think really going deep into culture fit, and making sure that it is a culture which is a fit for your personality and what you're looking for at that stage is really important. I come from the venture capital world, so most of my universe is around startups. Specifically, in terms of startups, I think if you're looking to join an AI/ML startup, make sure you spend a lot of time with the founders, right? Because in a small setup, I think Pranjal mentioned, right, most of these startups are very lean. So we are talking about 5, 10, 15, 20 people, right? And you're looking to be employee number 21 or 25 or even 50, right? It's a big decision for the founders and for the other team members, right? Because this is not 100,000, 200,000 Google or Facebook, right? That you're joining. So this is in most cases for startups a make or break decision. Similarly for you will be dealing with all these people very deeply, right? It will not be a blob of people like there are in large companies. So I think really spending time with the founder to understand what is the kind of person the founder is looking for, what is the founder's expectations, what is the kind of culture that is being built out, what are the short-term, medium-term, long-term goals for the company for that role, what are having very clear expectation setting on both sides is very important. So please don't, even if your hiring manager is somebody else, functionally, make sure that you're spending enough time with the founders.
Right. Great.
I just want to add something here.
Yeah, go for it, Vachal.
I think Sumitra said very nicely about something where I recall someone said, like, if you are into the early of your career or looking for a switch, again, if you have 10 years of experience, that doesn't matter. But if you want to switch to something new field, always join a company where you can see a door you can enter and a door you can exit. So if you can see in and out, that means you are at the right place, because you will learn a lot. It's a short decision maker process, and you're working very closely with the founding team or the core engineers or in whatever manners there. So always try to look for those one rather than 5-floor building or something.
That's great. I've like so much like to take out from this conversation myself. I'm sure like people are really finding this interesting. So I think with this, we have spent a good amount of time. I'll bring my questions to a close at this point. Before we go on to attendee questions, we have Bhuvish here with us, Bhuvish Mehta. Just to give you a quick background, he himself is also very active in the VC space, but today he's not joined us as a VC, but he's joined us as a YJP board member. Bhuvish, I'll give the mic to you.
Thanks. Thank you, Padbhai. Hi, everyone. Jai Zinendra. My name is Bhuvish. I'm the YJP Director for External Relations. I want to start off by thanking all the panelists here for their time, the questions, answering the questions and the insights. I'm sure the average of hanging out with the panelists today on our Saturday afternoon has definitely been super high, and I'm sure everyone's learned quite a lot of things. I'm just gonna end with in in July, we are going to host Chicago convention with Jaina, where we have Bhavin Shah from MoveWorks, he's the CEO of MoveWorks, who recently, the company got acquired by ServiceNow for over $2.8 billion. He's our keynote speaker for the convention in July. And we are also hosting a standalone convention in October of this year in the New Jersey area, and we're looking for people who want to support us, help us, also get a chance to interact with established leaders in all disciplines, in Gen community and outside. So I'll pause here. I know this was a very heavy, insightful session. Please let us know if we can help in any way, and feel free to reach out over LinkedIn, WhatsApp channels, anywhere, and we'd be happy to support you in whatever goals you're working on. I'll pause here, and thank you again to the panelists.
Thanks a lot, Bhuvish. I just want to say that Bhuvish was also instrumental in bringing this panel together. So thank you, Bhuvish, again for that. All right. So I want to open the floor for any questions. I would just request that you don't unmute your mic. Can you please post your questions on the chat, or I don't know if we have a question and answer option on Zoom, but if you have any questions for our panelists, please post them in the chat. But with that, I would like to firstly thank our panelists for taking out time out of their Saturday. Thank you so much. I don't know about anyone, but I'm going to take a lot out of this session. So it's been a good time talking to you guys. I see Apurva's hand up. Apurva, you want to say something?
The 5 seconds. Thank you very much, Parth, for leading this because you are the one who kept us all engaged and alive. So thank you so much.
Thank you, Apurva. All right. So we have one question here. What's the best way to get into YC? I think anyone who wants to take this, right? Any of our panelists, please go ahead.
Has to be Pranjal. Pranjal
I did not want
is
to
the
be
YC
biased.
founder.
Okay, so
No, I'm nominating Pranjal.
All right, go for it, Pranjal.
Yeah, thank you so much for nominating me. So I'll mention this. I applied to YC twice. So one time we interviewed, we didn't get in with that of my first company, and this was the second time we did that. A few things, those are good, and I think actually, if you think about it, it goes back to all of the fundamentals. YC is a two-step process. One is the application. The second one is the interview. At every step, your goal is to reach or to go one step ahead. So in the application process, you want to reach the interview. How you get to the interview is in the application, you need to be one extremely concise, very precise responses. And in those precise responses, you need to show that you have some sort of an insight that is very different or very difficult for other people to have. So in that particular application process, you got to show that. Number one thing. Second is YC actually does not like solo founders. So it's good to have a co-founder. In general, this is my personal belief, it's good to have a co-founder, not just because you can like divide things accordingly, but startups are so tough. So it's good to have like somebody as your partner to go through the journey with you as well. So second, having a co-founder, asterisk on that, having a technical co-founder, either you being a technical co-founder or having a technical co-founder, also really important. Vice versa, like maybe additional brownie points on those things. And the third thing is when you are applying in the area that you're applying for, do you have like considerable insights to say that what you're going to be building or the area that you're going to be building is going to be big enough for them? One of the questions they ask is how can this company be $100 billion company? So they're thinking about like they want to like have crazy swings on startups. That's why the percentage of companies that go through a particular batch is less than 1%. So it's like maybe because like a lot of people apply for that as well. But the idea being this, you got to have like some sort of insights on that. So that's the first step. And the second step of the process would be interviews. And in the interviews, it is only a 10-minute interview. So it could be very nerve-wracking. Within those 10 minutes, they'll ask, I don't know, 30 questions. So imagine that you will get like 10 seconds to respond to each question. So instead of just mentioning or giving a story, just having like quick 2-word, 3-word, 4-word answers to questions is really important as well. So get your most important insights out in those questions and just be confident as well. So there's YC, but your job like just continues whether or not YC takes you. And if YC doesn't take you, maybe it's like their loss as well. So yeah, just go on building things.
Thank you. Maybe the next one is in Vatsal's wheelhouse. What's your advice on scaling from your initial early adopters to a large audience? I think that 300K just was eye-popping for me.
Yeah, because when you are starting, you don't want to build the scalable infrastructure because that's not your problem statement. Even no matter how much you love the technology and writing the code, that is not something should be on the table. And once I think even for me, scaling probably from 5,000 to 15,000 to 100,000 was a journey, because at different parts of the processes, you are finding the different set of problems. It's not defined problem where, okay, this is at when you reach 50,000 or 100,000, this set of the problems you are going to find. So, okay, these are going to be the static answers. So actually, it's always vary. Either it's changing the entire database, have rewrite the code multiple times, because that's the necessity part, to scale up when those problems arise. There's also the security and the compliance space comes the moment you start talking to the enterprise. That's the complete different arena you need to talk to, and you need to change your applications layers there as well. And the last piece is also, the accessibility side, or providing probably the mobile apps, or changing your core infrastructure to support that. So I think it always comes in the stepping process. Even in my early career, I was like always wondering, I should have built an application who could do a million requests per minute, but that was never in reality, it never happens from day zero. It could happen on day 100, or maybe for someone day 50. So always try to build sequentially through the process.
Great. Thanks. There's one specific question. What are your thoughts on prompt engineering? Is it a good starting off point to enter into the AI field? So I think it's a very specific engineering related question. Any one of you can go for it.
I can chip in, unmute if,
Go for it.
yeah. So for example, it's a definitely interesting field, whoever asked this question, because with our product, we used to offer a prompt engineering consultation for for the marketing and research analysis in our own product, because people are not used to aware how to talk to the open AI. Again, hey, the things are different now, but I'm talking about a year and a half back when it was very new. So people, you may have seen on the internet, people are posting about the prompt engineering job are still there at some distance there, but not probably anymore, because the large language model has drastically improved overall. The way you ask to the GPT, or you way ask to the Claude or Gemini or Notebook LM, all those are, like, I would say, very mature in a way, how you are controlling your instructions and how you are responding to any sort of the queries. Most of the people actually make one mistake, is this: they directly ask about the solution rather than asking. These LLMs are very smart enough on asking the questions in these two manners. One is, how do you solve this problem, rather than asking them to do exactly this, or asking to write the email, or asking to do whatever the coding or financial stuff. Try to ask, how do you do that? And it will open up a lot of options for you, and then you decide the best way to do it. A lot of people just ask the questions and copy paste, which is also part of the prompt engineering, because that's where you want the structure outcome from your query. So short it for now.
All right. So there's one last question that I will take before we close, because we are coming close to our 90-minute mark. For everyone, I see a lot of messages. They have a lot of questions. Amazing, great questions. Of course, we can't take here everything. I think we have posted the panelists' info, their LinkedIn, in the chat. So I think please feel free to connect with them, but please be respectful of their time also. They are busy in their professional and personal lives as well. And one last question, which I wanted to ask also, but then I think Bhuvish has asked this. Great. And I'll request every one of you, all the three panelists, to take like 30 seconds. What was the biggest mistake in your professional career while you were building your respective ventures or your respective careers? One thing that maybe each one of us can take here and try to avoid that. Of course, we can always go into that trap, but we can try and avoid it. I'll start with you, Soumitra.
Yeah, I think early on in my career, I think one kind of mistake, and maybe it's a lack of maturity as well, right? Which is you take very short-term view of things. So you have to understand that building a career is a very long journey, right? And you're going to have various milestones, and each job, each chapter is like a base camp, right? So I always like how Vinod Khosla says, right, that if you're climbing Mount Everest, you need to have your eye on the peak, and that's your end goal. But then you also need to be very strategic about what's the next base camp. And then how do I get from this base camp to the next base camp and then to the next camp, right? So you almost break down that journey. So I think being strategic in terms of what's the long game and not having a short-term view on relationships, on career moves, on which job to take, what skills to get, right? I think that to me has been a big learning curve.
Thanks. Pranjal, do you want to go next?
Sorry, I missed the mute button here. There's a bunch of things actually in my mind right now. I think the one thing that comes to my mind is I just took far too long to bet on myself. I started my first company 5 years ago, but I think I could have done that like much earlier. Not to say that there is a particular age to starting a company or something like that, but I just waited far too long. I actually spent a lot of time trying to get picked for a job. I wanted a particular kind of a job, maybe, went on that path of like, oh, I'll get the raise, the approval, the director title, like all of those things. So in a way, I kept playing safe, kept asking for a lot of permission, but I realized that no one's coming to hand you your dream job, and that's why I said before as well, you can just like build your job. And when I stopped trying to look smart in front of other people and started like just building stuff that, in my opinion, actually helped people, things started to change. Like I was able to launch ideas a little bit faster, reached out to people that I truly admired, and shared what I was learning, even when it felt a little bit of cringe on LinkedIn or something like that. So little by little things changed. And very similar mind as like Sumitra, just taking like one step, but just betting on yourself as well.
Lastly, what's up?
No, I think a lot of pieces are covered, and we're almost over the time as well. So just on the closing note would be, if you are building your career, or even if that's about the product, try to break it down. The breaking down will give you the clarity, and clarity will give you the confidence to go with the consistency over the time. And I think try to stay consistent in whatever the sector you are doing, and be confident about it.
Okay, thank you. Perfect way to end our conversation. I just want to take 1 minute. Thank you, Pranjal, Vatsal, and Soumitra for joining this. Pretty sure all of the attendees have got a lot of information. Thank you to all the attendees for joining on a Saturday afternoon. We look forward to have you on our next Tech Talk. Soon we'll be coming out with our panelists and our information around that. And thank you to the YJP team for helping us host this event. So thank you, everyone. Jai Jinendra.
Thank you, Parth.
Jinendra.
Thank you,
Thank you,
everybody,
Parth.
for
Great
hosting.
work.
For the next
Yeah.
event, and thank you to all
Thank
the
you.
speakers today.